Morning, everyone. Let's see what we got. Okay. Cosmics, gain buffs, especially Fury's arm reps precisions. Boss, Spidey. Right, this is the one that doesn't really work. So it's basically just a big Spidey who lowers your crit rating. So we'll just want something that isn't True Strike, True Accuracy, True Focus. Was that supposed to be Pursuit? It doesn't make any sense as Vigilance. Whatever. Not my problem. Alright, Cosmic. Morning all. I'm doing okay. I'm a little curious how the audio is today. This isn't my intended final setup for the microphone, but I have it a little bit closer to that than it was. So yeah, let me know how this is. Other than that, yeah, it was a good weekend. Saw Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson live yesterday. That was pretty cool. Awesome. Thanks all. All right, I'm just gonna pick one and we're gonna go. Yeah, it was a good time. Rational conversation realm. Mantis and Lumitrix both have some useful abilities. Work in this case is rather subjective. Okay, let's be sure not to break his block and go unblockable. Or when we're unblockable. That's fine. Don't break his block. Yeah, the Dormammu story is fun. I agree. Hey, BT, welcome. It's funny, Accelerate. That never happens. There's going to be a lot of conditionals to that answer, Amjad. This game isn't really that linear. I think there are probably a lot of places where Diablo does have higher DPS than Nico, but that is definitely not an absolute. There are places where she passes him absolutely. Yeah, Spiral was a co-op between Kabam Mimic and Kabam Kevin. Um, Mimic has done a bunch of other characters, including the Phoenix rework and Vox, just since I'm looking at my screen here. Kevin is our lead, or is one of our senior quest designers, and so has done like Eternity of Pain. They're the lead on Necropolis. They've also done a co-op before and what helped with Omega Sentinel. Nice warrior. Yeah, Bastion's great. Patriot is okay. He's not like a hard answer by any means, right? The exhaustions are a little bit annoying. The auto block you have to play around, and you don't get any benefit from your ruptures because evolutionary is immune. But like he has the inflated combo count, he has the inequity answer. It's not bad. Stable's not going to be all that useful against evolutionary. I really need to figure out his dexes. I'm not trying very hard right now, which is why this is not going well. But that is a project that I would like to get better at. I know there's a way to do it. Yeah, I really dislike his animations. What? I don't even care. We've got stuff in overflow. I'm done with, what you call it. Right now, I really wish OG Thor just had access to more than one Fury without getting stunned. It was funny. Thor is a weird case, though, because if he existed as a 7-star, he'd be one of the best Battlegrounds attackers, as he currently is, right? Makes it a little bit difficult to update someone. It's not that we won't, but that's why it hasn't happened yet. He is, Like, he's a big Avenger, but he's not exactly a top priority. This is not even close to new levels, Sim. It's Monday. Nice, BT. That's awesome. A lot, Cov. A lot. Don't ask me that stuff, Zephyr. Come on, don't start off the morning with something you know you're not supposed to do. And if you say doesn't hurt to ask, I'm going to time you out. Because we didn't do that, Warrior. We did not lock out every way to counter it except unblockable. True Strike and True Accuracy are older than the things that we did block out. Like, I'm more than a little bit confused by that comment, and if that's what KT said, then I'm even more confused that someone who makes as much content on this game as him missed that. No. So, content switchover is always Wednesday. Like, on the one hand, sure, happy to clarify, but I'm also kind of confused because why do I need to clarify something that's on the info page? Definitely not a great choice. I wasn't really thinking through the incinerate immunity part. Gonna have to switch to somebody like Phoenix. Or maybe just go Dark Phoenix and go straight to 100. I should have been doing that earlier, too. Appreciate the feedback, BT. I mean, I like the trackers for me at this point, too, but yeah, it's good to have. Deciding between Kushala and Nico. It's a tricky one. Hey, Cashew. Welcome. What exactly is your question there, Retin? Because if you're asking if Captain Britain is currently only available in the Battle Pass, the answer is yes. If you're asking if that's where the only place that she'll be in the next X amount of time, then you're asking for something that hasn't been announced. You definitely do not get a new top 5 Prestige champ every other month. There's been a spate of them, but that's because Prestige basically didn't move for like 2 years. And I think that was a mistake. But if you're asking for how the internal process for picking new prestige characters, you're not going to get it from me because I'm not in those meetings. I am just generally of the opinion that we should be moving up more often than not. Hey, Pablo. Yeah, let's get the regen in. Mookie. Morning. most of my content is at a lower volume compared to other videos. I think I'm okay with that. I think I made that choice a while back and just left it there. If it's like dramatic where you're potentially hurting your speakers, then I can bring it up a bit. But like literally looking at OBS right now, I am in the yellow or the red all the time while I'm speaking. And so I don't really want to be taking that up much further, or else, you know, if I laugh at a stupid question, then I might clip, right? Somewhat similar with my recorded videos. I mean, I'm gonna play with that more as I get a better setup going. I used to have a better one back when I was in Pittsburgh, and I think I'll get there again. And then maybe I'll start doing some more filtering stuff, and then that could bring in compression. Because from an audio perspective, like that's how you bring the floor up without clipping, is you run things through compression, and if you do it properly, it doesn't really mess with the vocal quality, that kind of thing. But I just have not put in that effort in a long time. And I don't think a lot of other people are. I think a lot of people just have their audio generally a little too high. Noted, Brennan. I can handle a couple digits as long as your volume is somewhere in like, I don't know, 30s and not 5 to 8. Thanks, Mookie. I'm glad that came across well. It's a stupid question. Gotcha. Okay. I don't mind setting the recorded ones a little higher. I do have to ask though, is that in general or is that specifically this week? Because for the maker design log in particular, I had a different setup than normal. Interesting, Pablo. I'll take a look. Well, there's an implication in what you just wrote, Black Hole, that I don't think is particularly fair. Us doing something with the intent of making money on champion sales is not automatically greedy. The problem is not saying, oh, okay, Kabam is trying to make money. The problem is going, aha, I got you. Kabam is trying to make money. You greedy, evil people. Like, okay, just. And I bet you go to work and try and get promoted, you capitalist stooge. Yeah, like I didn't take Easy's original comment as accusing us of greed. It's just prestige is part of selling champions. It's not always going to be on big defenders, but doesn't hurt. Morning, Joey. Hey, Walrus. Interesting, Pablo. Yeah, appreciate it, Pablo. I'll keep it in mind. I'm happy to take it up. I mean, just for me, it's mostly a or audio quality thing. I don't like clipping, and there's enough inflection in how I speak that it does peak a little on the higher side. What it probably means is that I just need to go dig out because I have a bunch of audio filtering effects from back when I was doing more with music and stuff. I just need to dig them out, hook them up, and start running through things through quality compressors, I think. Anyway. Okay, card. Oh, I really thought he was going for a heavy. Stupid, but I did. Do y'all intentionally create this ebb and flow of defenders and attackers, or is it more so how the cards get dealt, etc.? It is more so how the cards get dealt. Because like the higher concentration of defenders right now is mostly a result of how much we had to back off last year, and then that means we're probably going to have to back off a little bit at the end of this year, right? And then that probably will lead to a little bit higher concentration in early 2026. But like we are trying to level it out. We just have only so many we have only so much control over this, right? Um because as important as meta planning is to me and the other people doing it, it's not the only factor in when champions come out, especially not from Marvel's perspective. So yeah, we only have a certain amount of control, and it's just a very complex topic. We've learned a lot about meta planning over the last year or so, and I feel like we're quite good at it, to be perfectly honest. But when I say it's complicated and I'm kind of hesitating to start on this, it's because I literally think I could give a lecture on this topic, like that would span an hour or so. And I am trying to avoid that as a Monday morning stream. But like as some broad takeaways, we definitely want like roughly 3 or 4 really strong new defenders every year. Um, and there are going to be other smaller ones around there, right? Especially when you take into account the fact that reworks don't have to be defenders, not by any means, but it's not a bad use of them, right? Because then you are creating a target for some new character without introducing players to completely new animations they have to learn. It's a lower bandwidth way to expand things. Like Red Skull is a really good example. Um, Red Skull's buff added new things to worry about, absolutely, but to a character whose animations we'd been seeing for years. Like even the special 2 decks mattered in his Abyss fight, right? And so I think that's kind of a good example where it's like it does often make sense to sprinkle defenders into the reworks as well. And so when you then have these big tentpole defenders and the reworks, that kind of gives you this certain level of strength almost as a minimum. Then you're going to be picking characters that are 2 ways, right? And that can't be all of them because then that's too many defenders, but it has to be some of them because you know people care about 2 ways, and you especially need to throw it in some places where you're intentionally not dialing a character to be a nuts nuke attacker. And then you also need to pick your spots where you pull back and you ship 1s or 2s. But it, it's really difficult, and it's difficult to go too much deeper without giving very specific examples. So I think I'll leave it there for now, but I don't know. Hopefully that's been interesting. Who's my favorite Zola counter? If I have all the time in the world, Deathless She-Hulk. That one feels very good. If I don't have that much time, Thanos is quite good, etc. A bit of both, Mookie. It's a number of things. So for those watching back who maybe aren't looking at the screen, Mookie said that my champions feel rewarding for both casual players and optimizers without fully alienating either group. Is that design intuition are carefully calculated? And obviously, the design intuition there is not just intended as a compliment. For me, it's, is that a result of your experience playing the game at a high level? And there is a certain amount of that. It's also kind of a philosophical thing where my favorite characters in the game over time have been those that instead of having like strict loops where you jump through these exact hoops to do X, it's more that they have toolkits that they bring to the fight. And that tends to lend a certain amount of reliability and flexibility to characters. And so often like I design that way, and that kind of gives a decent floor to my characters. And I often have to add in some hoops to jump through. That's just something I've learned about myself. I tend to build the character and it functions, and then I have to throw in extra skill asks. It's not difficult for me to add in extra skill asks because of my experience with the game, but it's generally not something that is super clear in my first drafts, if that makes sense. And that's just something I've learned about myself. There are other designers on the team where they start with the skill asks, they start with the gameplay loops, and then they have to find ways to make that meta relevant later. Both ways are valid, right? I just know how I work at this point. Um, this is like verging on a leak, but I don't mind saying this, Indigo. Indigo asked, are any of the Rebirth characters going to be defenders? We're not really changing them all that dramatically, so if you consider them to be relevant defenders now, they will be relevant defenders then, just a little bit better. That's how I think I'll leave that. No, that's a... I'm all over the place with this one. I just need to pick some and go. A little bit, Pablo. Live Ops also comes in on that one, but I don't know. It's a collaborative thing across multiple teams. Our team has really loved their fake out specials lately. Ouch. Excuse me. Why would you get that, Zilla? Patriots buff isn't coming out this month. I'm open to it easy if it lets us open another battle group, for sure. I'll figure out the tickets. Why am I having trouble dexing his special one? That is, like, not a thing. Excuse me. Hey, Alex. I don't think Patriot's going to be setting speed records in Battlegrounds against the High Evolutionary, but he's going to be a solid stay alive answer for sure. Okay, just going down two of the paths? Yeah, that works. Hey, Dan, how's it going? Thanks for connecting that. I do recognize the profile picture, but I'm not sure I'd fully thought that through just yet. But welcome back. There is a Frog Thor, yes. I don't think that would be my top pick for a new Asgardian. Sif is a good nod, absolutely. Sif and maybe Malekith might be my top ones. Malekith would be interesting. I'd be curious to see somebody like Fandral too, as well. Like, it's kind a little bit difficult. I guess maybe Sif could fill this role too. But it's a little bit difficult to imagine bringing one of the Warriors 3 and not the other two. And then you have to go like, okay, well, if you bring two of them in a month, then does it become a multi-month thing? But anyway. And God, that would be so many cosmics all at once. But the point being, I like the idea of somebody like Fandral because he's generally more of like a finesse fighter in a lot of portrayals, and I think that that is not a particularly common archetype in Cosmic, and I think it could be cool. Don't worry about it, Akbar. Not bad for not really benefiting from the node. Been a while since I've seen Dark World Black Hole, but it was probably a very weird take on Malekith or Curse. And to be fair to the Dark World, I think I understand why they took that direction for Malekith and made him more of like a dread lord than what I'm used to from the comics. Because the comics is kind of like a fey trickster evil dude, which is somewhat adjacent to what they were doing with Loki, right? And we have seen multiple times um, that Marvel kind of doesn't, or what am I thinking? That some showrunners, that's what I should say, don't necessarily trust us to differentiate between similar but different characters. And so there was probably a bit of that. But I think a more I don't like saying comics faithful because it's not really an obligation I think this game has, but more comics adjacent take on Malekith would be very interesting. Nice, Pleasy. I'm glad you're using Sorcerer for him. Deathless Necro Run or Quest 3 of Wheel of Fate. I think Quest 3 of Wheel of Fate is faster. That alone probably cost me fewer units, but I also, I was like a year further along in my roster, so a little bit difficult to compare. Somewhat close. The Deathless Necro run was pretty clean. But if you're worried about running out of revives, I'd probably do Quest 3 of Wheel of Fate first. That's a tough one, wait. Like maybe a forum post? Yeah, like there are feedback forums, but I'm not sure how much they're worth. I don't usually see them anyway. Speaking of Rebirth champions with defensive potential, I will never not hate this dude's basic animations. Cool. Hey, Alfie. That one is curse easy. He could be interesting. Oh. Cosmics are a little tricky in general because there's just so much competition, right? Such a large swath of the comics universe is cosmic. Okay, only 4 more. Let's go big guns. Horseman Storm can do it. She wouldn't be one of my top choices. Information nexus. I won't say it's impossible, Alfie, but me never having heard of that character, it's not a great sign for them being added soon. And there are characters I haven't heard of, absolutely, that we add and that makes sense to add. But for the most part, I've heard of stuff we nice. I'm getting the sense you really like obscure characters. I have a lot of trouble imagining us adding a playable living tribunal in any kind of productive way, Cashew. Because it doesn't really sound like that would be all that interesting. And I don't really like triggering the power scalers. The special one is called Reality Warping Beam. Why doesn't it just obliterate the opponent? It should be an auto win. It wouldn't be that broken if they just let us do that for this one character. We spent money on them. Sorry. Triggered. That was a very weird lag spike. Okay, so the pod is causing problems. That's... I had that before. Nailed my voice in that impersonation. I understand that there's some dissonance in this game, seeing like low street level heroes fighting against gods. I totally get where it comes from. But as far as the 5 stages of grief are concerned, the number of comics power scalers who are still in either denial or bargaining is just too dang high. Like bargaining in particular. I joked about the special one should just auto kill them. That's obviously an exaggeration, right? I don't think that anyone who's played this game for a while seriously thinks that. I guarantee you there would be people who would be like, well, maybe just like a chance to automatically kill the opponent. Is like a 3% chance to just win automatically really that overpowered for a reality warper? I don't think that is an exaggeration. And that is why I get tired. Yeah, I'm down for more Summoner's Choice losers. There's some good ones in there. I think we only have 2 left, right? Yeah, cool. Appreciate it, Alfie. I'm aware. I'm just not really in practice anymore. So I understand why you think, Zilla, that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur could build on Mole Man, but that there's not really much transferable there. Giganto Jr. is actually a fairly traditional biped, just with short legs. The animation requirements to put a dinosaur in game, it there's nothing to build on. You are starting over. It is a completely different challenge and a pretty significant one. I'm not saying we'll never see them, but that's a high ask. Hey, no. Happy Monday. I have no idea, Healthy. I only really have insight into the champions that I designed for animations. Morning, Chibi. Okay. There's nothing against slow, right? Yeah. Okay. That works. Wait, no! No! Oh! That I I can't account for why my brain just did that. Submit a ticket. It's literally faster to just go back through it. Pain. Wait, what? That was a block, sir. Gotta love that about Nova. Alright. Yeah, like, I saw team select, and I was like, yes, I would like to select my team. You know, the thing you do on the swap node. Mother you. Alright. Pain. It definitely does not need to be removed, King. Come on. Yes, it would be nice if there was a confirmation. Let's be reasonable. See, this is what I mean. Even if you dex out of it, this is just his animations are so long for no reason. Yeah. Glad you enjoyed that, Sim. Don't you take that away from Gamora, Alfie. How dare you? Had bad experiences with Gamora, unfortunately. Not Gamora's fault. You're right, Alfie. Venom wasn't a good choice for this. I landed no crits, there were no bleeds, the fight took way too long. Hi Nick, how's it going? Actually, might be able to get some regen out of this. It was good, Nick. Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson are old, but it was still cool to see them. I'm enjoying it a lot, Kurt. Yeah, I really like Final Fantasy Draft. I think they did a great job. Yeah, it's a good spot for Gallant. There are actually a lot of people who are excited about a Call Obsidian buff, Alfie. I think you're barking a little bit up the wrong tree there. Yeah. There's some nice things about the iPad aspect ratio for sure. Yeah, let you scream again. That was fun. Whoops. Alright. That's not very nice, buddy. Nice. Oh, that was clean. Okay. I'm going to agree to disagree with you there, Black Hole. Jesus. I don't know why I did that. Oh, right. Wrong Phoenix. Really thought I blocked there. I'm not getting hit by those. Bro, I haven't had that happen in a while. It kind of depends, BT. For one thing, I'm not seeing 60 at the moment, but I also see some up and down, so maybe YouTube is having some trouble. Yeah, PC's not bad. Controller is just not my favorite scheme is the biggest issue. Excuse me. Yes, Bleezy, he is. Only one so far. Yeah, I don't count absorbing, man. I know you put that in quotes, so I'm not making you defend it, but that was pretty clearly just a design oversight from us, and that's not the same thing. Like, if we hadn't... To give you an example of why I consider Absorbing Man not a rebalance, if we didn't have the rebalance process, we would have done that as a live fix in the first month that he was out. Excuse me. Like, there was just not a universe where that was staying. Yeah, you either want to remove her spells, Swarly, like Easy says, and technically it's before she throws any spell. It's a bit of an issue there. Not just before she throws her special one. It will often be her special one, but you want to remove her spells before she can throw a special, because while she has spells, she is storing damage, right? And then if she still has spells when she throws a special, then she reflects that stored damage. So remove the spells, but then also apply Debilitate. There are a few characters that have that, because Debilitate counts as a negative spell. That means that if she has only one spell and one Debilitate on her, she isn't even storing damage in the first place. So even if the Debilitate falls off, if all of the damage done is while she's at net 0 spells, she won't reflect it the next time she throws a special. Even if, when she throws it, she's not at net 0. Important wrinkle. But this also means that if you have enough Debilitate to stay ahead of her spells, you can kind of ignore it. Because the other important part about her damage reflection is that she's not just reflecting damage, she's also reducing damage. She's reflecting the amount she's reducing. So you really want to keep her spells as low as possible, whether it's with Debilitate or not. Excuse me. We only have a few left. Stupid, stupid, stupid. He doesn't need it, Black Hole. Like, it's definitely not a, oh, just make it permanent. That's like the easiest trigger to pull, but it's not the best one. That's not what the kit is built around. I know, Pablo. I was really hoping to do a second one today. I definitely have to run soon. It'll be. Why not, AJ? I assume you're asking because they were given out as 4 stars in Realm of Legends, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, I'm sorry if that feels dismissive, Black Hole, but I can't really unpack it further without starting to talk about what actually happened. And that's a no-no for right now. We can talk about it later. Jerk. Threw off my groove. Correct, Zephyr. You are correct, Black Hole. OG Rhino is weird. Yeah, you'll notice part of the reason I'm going faster this time, Sim, is both because I'm talking less, but also just because I am using stronger characters, because I'm not holding on to them. Natasha, please. Come here. Yeah, I don't know why I did that, but that's fine. Just going for this supercharged Special 3 Fury. Nice, Akbar, do it. I'll hang out. Well, I might hang out. I might have to be doing some more unpacking. I'll probably have to be doing some more unpacking, but I can keep the stream on. Yeah. More slaps. Can Odin adjust his size in the comics like that? I actually don't know. Good question. Who was I looking at? I think I was just going to do Shang-Chi before The unspeakable happened. Carolina. Hey, look, they did the shocker thing. I don't know why I did that, but thank you for not causing problems. Go on, buddy. Always end up overkilling with Shang-Chi. Oof, losing the charge is tough. Yeah, I don't think support even can fix that one. Goodbye. Way overkill. I enjoy Shang-Chi, though. Alright, thank you for joining me for 2 paths through the Valiant Gauntlet. And 1 chapter down. Anyway. Oh, I didn't even mean to hit that, but that's fine. No, I don't think we're opening any crystals. Alright, thank you everybody. I'm gonna run to work, but take care. Have a good one.